Kevin Lekmansky posted 1:28.606 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Kevin Lekmansky has a best lap time of 1:28.304. Nick's Skills just posted a 1:29.430 crossing start finish.
Nick's Skills is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
With just 3 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
There is always more time to be found, but Nick's Skills is not guaranteed to find it.
Bones posted 3:20.616 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Bones has a best lap time of 1:28.921. Bones has a best lap time of 1:28.921. With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Simon of the Desert posted 1:40.288 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
Simon is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Bones has a best lap time of 1:28.921. Bones has a best lap time of 1:28.921. With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Simon just posted a 1:30.932 crossing start finish.
There is always more time to be found, but Simon is not guaranteed to find it.
Nick's Skills posted 1:39.189 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
Nick's Skills is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Nick's Skills has a best lap time of 1:29.430.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Kevin Lekmansky has a best lap time of 1:28.123.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, There is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Kevin Lekmansky posted 128.431 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Nick Skills has a best lap time of 128.767.
There is always more time to be found, but Nick's skills is not guaranteed to find it.
Nick Skills has a best lap time of 128.767.
Nick's skills is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Kevin just posted a 128.431 crossing start finish.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Kevin Lekmansky posted 128.431 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Adam is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Willow Springs as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Adam is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Willow Springs as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. The anticipation is high as the drivers line up for the qualifying session at Willow Springs.
Strap in, folks, because we're in for a wild ride.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Bones is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run.
This is the moment he's been preparing for. Let's see if he can execute.
That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through Rabbit's Ear.
When I get some free time after the race, I'm going to park my pudding near Rabbit's Ear with a nice drink and some friends.
Bones is driving through Budweiser balcony.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
You can feel the tension building. Kevin Lekmansky is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. Kevin Lekmansky is working his way through turn 9. As Kevin Lekmansky completes the outlap, he will be hoping there's enough space on track to fully attack on the flying lap. Adam is on his outlap.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Adam handles it.
Adam is looking relatively composed going through Rabbit's Ear.
Spectators near here can smell the smoke wafting from nearby grills.
Adam appears focused and prepared driving through Budweiser balcony. The adrenaline is pumping. Kevin Lekmansky is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
He'll want to get a good gap established for the flying lap.
Kevin Lekmansky is keeping his head down through turn 9.
Don't forget to check out the views near turn 9, they are fantastic.
Kevin Lekmansky has completed his out lap. Kevin Lekmansky has lost 0.17 seconds so far through Rabbit's Ear.
Lekmansky isn't looking great now, but I have faith he can turn this around.
It's clear that Malero is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap. Malero is expertly commanding that car through the Omega.
Fuel, fumes, fans, and fights, the Omega has it all.
Bones is on his first flying lap. Bones is driving through Monroe Ridge. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Adam has just completed that lap in 1:27.324. His best lap so far is 1:27.324, putting him in P1. The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Nick's skills is rising to the occasion. That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through turn 9.
Fans sitting near turn 9 get some of the best views of the action.
Nick Skills has completed that flying lap in 1:29.065, which is good enough for P6, down 1.741 to the leader. Kevin Lekmansky appears focused and prepared driving through turn 5.
To see the best action, you can't go wrong here at turn 5.
Kevin Lekmansky is looking relatively composed going through turn 9. Sketty has found an extra 0.34. Sketty is keeping his head down through Rabbit's Ear.
This is such a great track, I need to make it back here more often.
Sketty is driving through turn 5.
This track has many great straights and corners, but this one is especially good.
That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through turn 9. Simon of the Desert appears focused and prepared driving through Repass Pass. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 128.812 is only good enough for 6th. Sketty is working his way through turn 5.
I have always loved this section of the track.
Bones is now up 0.17. Sketty is keeping his head down through turn 9.
The action and glory drivers have lived here at turn 9 is truly historic.
Sketty will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. Sketty is driving through Rabbit's Ear.
There's a spot near here where the teenagers sneak off to make out.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through the Omega. David Zahn is up 0.1. Nick Skills is looking relatively composed going through Budweiser balcony. David Zahn is expertly commanding that car through turn 5.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
Kevin Lekmansky has improved by 0.1. Kevin Lekmansky is working his way through turn 5. David Zahn is up 0.11. Adam does not look to be improving on this lap. Janet, any thoughts on ways to improve?
He'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
Adam appears focused and prepared driving through turn 5. Simon of the Desert is now up 0.1. Simon of the Desert is 0.14 up driving through Rabbit's Ear. That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through turn 5. Willow will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session. Simon of the Desert has improved by 0.41. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 128.812 is only good enough for 6th. David Zahn is in the green by 0.11. David Zahn is driving through Rabbit's Ear. Willow is currently up 0.24 going through Monroe Ridge.
All we can do now is wish Willow luck as the start-finish line approaches.
Willow will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.496 gap to pole.
Bones is currently in 8th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess his competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start. Bones will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. Impressive display by Shelby, currently sitting in P6. He's set a competitive time, but the question remains whether he can push even harder to secure a better starting position.
Absolutely, Marco. Shelby has put in a remarkable effort to secure 6th. The competition is fierce, and he'll need to stay focused to defend the position.
Nick Skills has put in a great effort and currently holds 8th. With the session winding down, time is running out to unleash his full potential for a better starting position. And there goes Shelby, currently in P6. He's shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still a chance to improve on that time. Nick Skills has secured a respectable 8th in the qualifying session. This is a great spot to use as a launchpad for a strong race performance. Nick Skills is looking relatively composed going through turn 5. It's an impressive showing by Simon of the Desert, currently in 7th. He's showcased his talent, but will need to find. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 128.641 is only good enough for 7th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure you will keep working on that 1.387 gap to pole.
Impressive work from Kevin Lekmansky, who has claimed 2nd on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining his composure and push for an even better starting position.
I completely agree.
Kevin Lekmansky is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 127.206.
That's a great time, but it's always a good idea to keeping pushing for every last 10th and 100th.
Currently in 2nd, Adam has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether he can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Adam is not able to keep his pace consistent, so far 0.88 seconds down through Rabbit's Ear.
Adam is likely taking a deep breath to try and refocus his efforts.
Adam is keeping his head down through turn 5.
If Adam listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
Adam is down 4.75 seconds on the way through turn 9.
Adam needs to regroup, refocus, and knock it up a notch.
Adam will be happy with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. You've joined us on a breezy day here at Willow Springs, as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The drivers are looking focused out there on the grid. I'm excited for this one, Marco.
Starting in pole position gives Kevin Lekmansky a clear advantage over the rest of the field.
He can't afford to get complacent. He will have a target on his back now.
Adam has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
He can't let that advantage go to waste. He will need to stay focused and keep his eyes on the prize.
We're seeing Malero in the third spot.
Malero is hoping for a strong result.
In fourth place, we have David Zahn.
David will be expecting to bring home solid points.
Holding strong in fifth place is Bones.
The American driver will be focused on a good result from here.
On the sixth grid slot, we have Shelby,
putting that ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R into prime position for the race.
As the engines roar to life, Simon of the Desert prepares to take off from the 7th position on the starting grid.
If Simon can find his rhythm early on, he could be a real threat.
On the 8th grid slot, we have Nick's Skills.
Nick's Skills does not always keep it clean, but when they do, they excel at gaining positions.
Willow Springs International Motorsports Park, commonly referred to as Willow Springs, is located in Willow Springs near Rosamond, California, about 80 miles north of Los Angeles. It is the oldest permanent road course in the United States. Construction began in 1952, with the inaugural race held on November 23, 1953. The main track is a 2.5-mile-long road course that is unchanged from its original 1953 configuration. The elevation changes and high average speeds make it a favorite of many road racing drivers. There are 7 tracks at Willow Springs. The largest and most well-known is Willow Springs International Raceway, commonly referred to as Big Willow. Other racing facilities include the Streets of Willow, a 1.8-mile road course, the Horse Thief Mile, the Speedway at Willow Springs, a 1/4-mile paved oval, Willow Springs Kart Track, the Playpen, a 1/4-mile paved training track, and the Walt James Stadium, which includes a clay oval and paved oval. Efforts by fans resulted in the state of California declaring Willow Springs International Raceway as a California Point of Historical Interest in 1996. The moment we've been waiting for has arrived. The green flag is waving and the race is on.
With adrenaline running high, some drivers may take unnecessary risks. Staying patient and knowing when to make a move is essential for a strong start.
This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it.
The drivers will be jostling for the best position, Marco. Some of them may not make it to the second lap in one piece.
Nick's skills will be studying the nearby drivers and looking for anything that could give them an advantage.
The drivers are walking a fine line during the first lap melee as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
Asad Extreming is going to be starting from 24th.
We've seen Asad Extreming make solid progress from here, so hopefully he can do that today.
Ryan Wilson has qualified 9th.
Lining up in the mid-pack.
Impressive driving from Kevin Lekmansky, who has managed to extend his lead over Adam. It looks like Adam will have to regroup and try to make up that lost ground. This is not looking good for Kevin Lekmansky. He's just lost first to Adam. At this point, his strategy seems to be failing him. They're going side by side, door handle to door handle. This is as close as it gets, folks. I would not be surprised if these drivers swap positions a few times before the order gets ultimately decided.
You're absolutely right, Marco. The level of respect these drivers have for each other while pushing their limits is commendable. It's a testament to their professionalism and love for the sport.
The battle for P6 is heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to catch Bones in P6. Looks like we might have a great battle starting here between Nick Skills in 8th and Ryan Wilson. It's been tense with a gap of only 0.3 seconds.
It's not over yet. Ryan is right on Nick Skills' tail, and if he can find just a little bit of extra speed, he might be able to make a move.
This is a thrilling moment in the race, with David Zahn in 3rd defending his position with everything he's got. But Malero is relentless, and the gap is less than 0.2 seconds. It's anyone's position at this point.
Dave needs to get the lead out Marco, otherwise his backside is gonna look like the Japanese flag come the morning.
This is going to be a nail-biter. Malero is defending for his life, but Sketty is right there doing everything he can to force a mistake.
Malero is doing a great job of defending in the lead, and Sketty is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Sketty is definitely living on the edge today.
Bones wants to find a way round Sketty.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
It's like watching two. Braking alert. Fantastic move from Nick's Skills, who has just gained a position.
That's what we like to see. Nick's Skills is really showing his class today.
It's a close race between Simon of the Desert and Nick's Skills in 7.
That's right, Simon is determined to pass Nick's Skills and secure a higher position.
Sketty is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
Sketty is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curves and hustling that ASRL Shelby Mustang GT.
Hold that thought. Looks like that's a mistake from Nick's Skills. This could be costly.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, he'd been looking at a decent result.
I think Bones is going to try and outbrake ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R as they come into Castrol Corner. Hold on a moment. Incredible. Sketty is caught in a fierce battle, with Bones breathing down his neck 0.1 seconds away, and Malero just ahead with a gap of 0.2 seconds. It's a test of his racing skills. Every move counts now as Malero works to reel in David Zahn and overtake for P3. These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Look at that. Bones is hot on the tail of Sketty.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Bones is really walking that fine line.
Malero is on a mission, chasing David Zahn, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Ryan Wilson with everything he's got.
We'll have to wait to see if Sketty can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
Oh, this is getting intense. Malero is just behind David Zahn.
Malero is so close to Zahn.
Braking development. Superb driving from Malero, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
It looks like David Zahn is all over Malero, going through Rabbit's ear, increasing the pressure and hoping for a mistake.
For sure, Marco, that's exactly what I would be doing here, as Malero is going to be aware of him riding his bumper.
It's not looking good for David Zahn, who is still behind Malero, and the gap is increasing. I'm curious, Janet, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Marco. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Bones, who is currently in P7.
This is where experience comes into play. Sketty has been in this situation before and knows how to defend for position, but Bones is hungry for success and won't give up easily.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. With just 0.5 seconds between them, Zahn will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
Looking at the lap times, David Zahn is not currently on pace with Malero. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. The gap between Sketty and Bones is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Sketty to even allow Bones to get a look in. Bones appears to be losing ground on Steady. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into turn 5 to get a good exit and gain some ground.
This is not ideal for Bones, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
As a former racing driver, Janet, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Marco. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
David Zahn is giving it his all chasing down Malero in P3. The gap between David Zahn and Malero is widening. It's now up to 1.1 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Dave needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Malero.
The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit and it's going to make for some exciting racing. It looks like Malero is pushing hard to catch up to Kevin Lekmansky. The gap between Malero and Kevin Lekmansky is getting smaller. Ryan Wilson is pushing to maintain the lead, while Nick Skills is working to close in and challenge for the position. It's game on now. Nick Skills has closed the gap to Ryan Wilson. It's now down to 0.9 seconds. Well, it doesn't look like Malero is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Kevin Lekmansky. Malero has just put in a faster lap than Kevin Lekmansky, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
As long as Malero can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Nick Skills as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
This is where the breaking news, folks. A great moment for Malero, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Impressive. Malero is really showing his skill and determination out there.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The racing is getting tight between Lekmansky and Malero as they battle for P2. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It seems like Kevin Lekmansky is struggling and not able to maintain his pace. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Janet, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
The pressure is on as Nick Skills works on catching up to Ryan Wilson.
It's a game of strategy now as Nick Skills hunts down Wilson.
The adrenaline is pumping as Kevin Lekmansky gets within striking distance of Malero in their race for second. The pursuit is on. Steady is closing the gap on Simon of the Desert, determined to claim P5. Hold that thought. Big gains for Kevin Lekmansky as they move up the field, leaving Malero behind. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
Malero is looking for an opportunity to get around Kevin Lekmansky.
And if you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
Looks like Steady is really hitting those curves aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Malero, hold that thought. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Bones is not going to be happy about that.
The pressure is on as Malero tries to catch up to Kevin Lekmansky.
It's a game of strategy now as Malero hunts down Lekmansky. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
The battle for P5 is heating up as Steady tries to catch Simon of the Desert in P5.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Steady should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Simon.
The action is non-stop as Malero shadows Kevin Lekmansky through every twist and turn, determined to claim second.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Malero and Kevin both need to stay cool under pressure.
Steady is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Oh, this is getting intense. David Zahn is just a few car lengths behind Malero.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Can Dave close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Every move counts now as Steady works to reel in Simon of the Desert and overtake for P5.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curves. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
David Zahn is on a mission, chasing Malero, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Zahn needs to stay patient and wait for Malero to make a mistake.
Things are heating up as Steady tries to close the gap to Simon of the Desert. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
It looks like Malero is pulling away from David Zahn. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Repass Pass.
David really needs to push in Repass Pass to gain some ground before Malero drives off into the sunset.
Steady is giving it his all, chasing down Simon of the Desert in P5. The gap between Steady and Simon of the Desert is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. So, Janet, considering the high speeds and split-second decision-making involved in racing, what's the impact of even a minor lapse in concentration?
A minor lapse in concentration can have significant consequences, Marco. It could lead to an off-track excursion, a loss of position, or even a collision. That's why it's crucial for drivers to stay focused and alert throughout the race.
Malero is looking for a way to close that gap to Kevin Lekmansky. Whoa! Simon of the Desert is coming in hot. I don't know if it's the red mist or if he just missed his breaking point.
Never break someone's heart, they only have one. Break their bones instead, they have 206 of them.
This is where the race gets really interesting. David Zahn is closing in on Malero.
The gap is 0.5 seconds now. David is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Malero.
Wow, Simon of the Desert is really pushing hard to catch up to Sketty.
This battle between Simon and Sketty is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
The race is really heating up. David Zahn is hunting down Malero with everything he's got. Simon of the Desert is running 6th and trying to catch Sketty.
Simon needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Sketty.
The pursuit is on. David Zahn is closing the gap on Malero, determined to claim P3. This is a thrilling battle as Simon of the Desert edges closer to Sketty in their fight for P5. It seems like Simon of the Desert is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Sketty.
Hopefully Simon can find some of that missing time and get it back.
It's a brilliant day for racing here at Willow Springs. I'm really enjoying this.
This race is truly epic. What a treat to be sat here witnessing this spectacle.
Looks like Simon of the Desert is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Simon needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
David Zahn is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
Zahn is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R like a boss.
The battle for P5 is heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to catch Sketty in P5.
The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds.
Simon of the Desert is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Sketty at the moment.
He needs to pick up the pace for sure, but that's not always a real possibility.
The pursuit is on. David Zahn is working on that gap to Malero, determined to claim P3.
We'll have to wait to see if David can get into drafting range.
David Zahn needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Janet, he's just put in a slower lap than Malero.
It will be interesting to see if Malero can keep outpacing Dave.
This will require some expert driving from Simon of the Desert. Sketty is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second.
Simon needs to find a little extra speed to bring the fight to Sketty and move up the field.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. David Zahn is breathing down the neck of Malero, not giving him any room to relax. Looking at the lap times, David Zahn is not currently on pace with Malero. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. You know, Janet, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Marco. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
Simon of the Desert is running 6th and trying to keep up with Sketty. Look at that. David Zahn is hot on the tail of Malero.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
It seems like David Zahn has got the bit between his teeth, improving on Malero's lap time there.
We will have to see if Malero has got any answers for that.
As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Adam is in the lead.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. Adam has certainly risen to the occasion.
And that, folks, is how it's done. A solid performance and great win from Adam.
You could feel the tension building throughout the race, but Adam remained focused and in control. That's what separates the winners from the pack.
Kevin Lekmensky never gave up. He drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish. Excellent focus from Malero to secure a fantastic third place on the podium. Taking 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is David Zahn, Sketty, Simon of the Desert, and Ryan Wilson. Nick's skills claim 8th. Ninth is Bones. It's a very still day here at Willow Springs, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Bones to take control of the race.
The pressure's on now. Let's see if any of the other drivers can challenge for this spot at the start.
Nick's skills will be looking to convert this front row start into a win.
He can't count his chickens before they've hatched. There is a long way to go.
Ryan Wilson has qualified third.
Wilson is in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
Simon of the Desert will begin the race from the fourth spot on the starting grid.
It's not always easy to get the ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R this high up the starting grid.
In the fifth position, it's none other than Sketty.
Sketty will be ready to show what he's made of.
Watch out for David Zahn, starting from the sixth grid position in today's race.
Let's see what David can do.
From the middle of the pack, we have Malero in seventh place on the starting grid.
Kevin Lekmansky isn't going to make it easy to get through the pack.
Kevin Lekmansky will be looking to gain ground quickly starting from eighth on the grid. Sitting in ninth is Adam. Willow Springs International Motorsports Park, commonly referred to as Willow Springs, is located in Willow Springs near Rosamond, California, about 80 miles north of Los Angeles. It is the oldest permanent road course in the United States. Construction began in 1952, with the inaugural race held on November 23, 1953. The main track is a 2.5-mile-long road course that is unchanged from its original 1953 configuration. The elevation changes and high average speeds make it a favorite of many road racing drivers. There are 7 tracks at Willow Springs. The largest and most well-known is Willow Springs International Raceway, commonly referred to as Big Willow. Other racing facilities include the Streets of Willow, a 1.8-mile road course, the Horse Thief Mile, the Speedway at Willow Springs, a 1/4-mile paved oval, Willow Springs Kart Track, the Playpen, a 1/4-mile paved training track, and the Walt James Stadium, which includes a clay oval and paved oval. Efforts by fans resulted in the state of California declaring Willow Springs International Raceway as a California Point of Historical Interest in 1996. And they're off, with drivers now facing the unpredictability of the opening lap. With so many cars close together, the risk of an early accident is real.
This is where the real racecraft comes into play. The drivers will be looking for any opportunity to make a move and gain an advantage.
It's all about finding those gaps and making the most of them, especially in these early stages of the race.
And with so many talented drivers on the grid, you know we're going to see some incredible overtakes here in the first sector.
It's not just about making a move, it's about doing it cleanly and without causing any incidents. The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
I'd love to be on track burning some rubber here, Marco.
Adam is having a very good race so far, making up several positions in a short time.
If Adam can keep this up, he might become the star of the show today.
Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here. It's like Sketty saved something up for the race start as he's soaring up the leaderboard.
It's like Sketty had an extra helping of determination for breakfast. Let's see if he can keep up this pace for the whole race.
Oh my, Nick's skills is hot on the tail of Malero as they drive through Castrol Corner.
With the way Nick's skills is stalking Malero, you'd think he's trying to figure out what he had for breakfast this morning.
The braking development. A brilliant maneuver from Sketty, who has just moved up the field.
You can't argue with results like that. Sketty is really making his mark on this race.
While speeding through the hold the phone. An impressive showing from Adam, who has gained positions and left Nick's skills in the dust.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. Adam needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
Adam is looking to take advantage of that slipstream being so close to Nick's skills. Hold the phone. Nick's skills has just dropped the ball. Adam didn't waste any time taking advantage of that.
That's right. He's got to stay focused and not let this setback affect his mindset. Meanwhile, Adam is showing some incredible skill and determination, and is now a serious threat to the other drivers on the track.
It's true what they say, Janet, you're never completely useless.
Indeed, Marco, you can always be used as a bad example. Nick's skills really needs to get his head in the game and start making some progress here before it's too late.
The pressure is on as Stefano Amadei tries to catch up to Ryan Wilson. Even though stop the press. Oh, the frustration must be building for Bones. He's just lost third position to Adam and he's going to have to work hard to get it back. Look at this, Janet, what a shame for Bones. He's lost P4 to Adam and that's got to hurt.
He's been focusing so hard on maintaining his position, and now he's slipped back in the field. Meanwhile, Adam has been making some great moves and is now on the charge.
Simon of the Desert is on a mission, chasing Adam, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
With just 0.5 seconds between them, Simon will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
Every move counts now as Adam works to reel in Malero and overtake for P2. It looks like Adam is making a move. The gap to Malero is now down to 0.2 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're...
Hold on a moment. I don't think that's the fastest way around Willow Springs. This is where the race gets really interesting. Simon of the Desert is closing in on Adam. It's a thrilling pursuit as Adam is right behind Malero, keeping the pressure on for second place. Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Adam. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The racing is getting tight between Lech Mansky and David as they battle for P5. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Adam is placed third at the moment, and hoping to keep his distance ahead of Simon of the Desert, who is 0.3 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Simon to make up that gap, especially with Adam defending so well.
The race is really heating up. Kevin Lech Mansky is hunting down David Zahn with everything he's got. This is what it's all about, folks. Adam is in hot pursuit of Malero, who's just trying to stay ahead.
These two are putting on a masterclass in precision driving. Every turn, every acceleration, calculated to perfection.
It's a game of inches now as Simon of the Desert tails Adam closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen. Stop the press. It's looking good for Kevin Lech Mansky, who has gained a place after passing David Zahn.
Absolutely. Kevin is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
Rising to the occasion and claiming victory would hope to cement David Zahn's legendary status. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Simon of the Desert is chasing Adam in P3. Things are heating up as David Zahn closes in on Kevin Lekmansky. The gap between them is down to practically nothing. Nick Skills has the pedal to the metal chasing Bones.
If Nick's Skills gets too close, he might end up taking the paint off.
Adam is running third and trying to catch Malero. The pursuit is on. David Zahn is closing the gap on Kevin Lekmansky, determined to claim P5. Hold on to your hats, folks. Adam is right on the heels of Malero, and we're in for a wild ride.
If Adam isn't careful, he might end up turning this high-speed chase into a synchronized spinning routine, and trust me, that's not a crowd pleaser.
David Zahn is giving it his all, chasing down Kevin Lekmansky in P5.
Zahn is looking to close the 0.5-second gap and make a pass.
This is a thrilling battle as Malero edges closer to Skeddy in their fight for P1. The pressure is on as Adam tries to catch up to Malero.
It's a game of strategy now as Adam hunts down Malero. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
The battle for P3 is heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to catch Adam in P3.
This is where every inch counts. Simon is pushing hard to close the gap on Adam. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Looks like David Zahn is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
They're going for the same piece of tarmac. Sparks are flying as they battle for position. Hold that thought. Talk about pressure. Skeddy is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Adam and Malero.
You're absolutely right, Marco. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind act as a measuring stick for Skeddy's performance. He'll have to keep a close eye on those gaps to stay in control of his race.
Look at that. David Zahn is hot on the tail of Kevin Lekmansky. It's an intense battle for position as Adam tries to outmaneuver Malero. This is edge of your seat racing.
At this rate, Adam and Malero are so close, they could share a cup of tea and a biscuit.
This is what racing is all about. Braking alert. Great driving from Kevin Lekmansky, who has just gained a place and moved up to 4.
Yes, Kevin is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
Every move counts now as Skeddy works to reel in Kevin Lekmansky and overtake. Hold on a second. Oh dear, Bones has had an incident. It's like watching two predators circling. Hold up, breaking info. Fantastic move from Ryan Wilson, who has just gained a position. Braking development. What a move. Ryan Wilson has moved up to 7. These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
As a former driver, I can tell you there's nothing quite like the adrenaline rush when you're this close to your rival, ready to make your move.
Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Adam.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Simon should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Adam.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
The gap between Adam and Malero is razor thin as they vie for first in this nail-biting contest. A great pass for Adam, swapping places with Malero to move up the field. Coming into turn 9, the fight for first is heating up. Neither driver wants to be the first to blink. It's a close race between Simon of the Desert and Malero in second.
One wrong move and we could see a spectacular new synchronized pirouette performance by Simon and Malero, though I doubt the judges would give them a perfect score.
This is what separates the best from the rest. These drivers are demonstrating their racecraft, searching for any weakness to exploit. It's a true test of skill.
Absolutely, Marco. The intensity of this battle is unmatched. These drivers are leaving no room for error and showcasing their exceptional racing skills.
Simon of the Desert is on a mission, chasing Adam, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Simon needs to stay patient and wait for Adam to make a mistake.
Sketty wants to get into David Zahn's slipstream.
There is no room for error in this battle.
It seems like Adam is getting in range of Malero.
And Adam is poised to capitalize on any mistake. It's just a matter of who cracks first.
Sketty wants to close that gap with David Zahn.
If you don't push the boundaries, you will never know where they are.
Braking development. Superb driving from Sketty, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. David Zahn is trying his best to catch Sketty.
I would not be surprised to see him challenge for the position.
Breaking news, folks. A tough moment for David Zahn, who has just lost a place, now in 7th.
That's got to hurt. Zahn needs to get back on the line and minimize the damage.
Wow, Adam is really pushing hard to catch up to Malero.
If Adam gets any closer to Malero, he'll need to send out wedding invitations.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Can Kevin close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
That's right, Marco. The pressure can easily get the best of even seasoned drivers. The fans are on the edge of their seats, waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
Simon of the Desert is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Simon needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Malero wants to find a way round Adam.
Rubbing's racing, but let's just hope they don't rub it too hard.
Braking update. And Malero has just won the place from Adam. Oh, the pressure is intense. These three drivers are displaying incredible skill and determination. It's like a high-speed chess match out there. This is what high-octane racing looks like. Simon of the Desert is breathing down the neck of Adam, not giving him any room to relax. They're giving it everything they've got. It's a battle of nerves as they push the limits of adhesion, going wheel to wheel in a braking development. What a tight spot for Adam. Simon is right on his tail, 0.1 seconds away, and Malero just inches ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a true test of these drivers' racecraft abilities.
You hit the nail on the head, Marco. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are crucial pieces of information for Adam's race strategy. It's a delicate dance, and he must remain vigilant.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Kevin Lekmansky is closing in on Simon of the Desert. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Adam is chasing Malero in P1.
Adam needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Malero.
The race is really heating up. Simon of the Desert is hunting down Adam with everything he's got.
The mental game is just as important here. Simon must keep his cool while putting pressure on Adam.
The pursuit is on. Kevin Lekmansky is closing the gap on Simon of the Desert, determined to claim P3. Oh, this is getting intense. Adam is just behind Malero.
A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
The pressure is on as Simon of the Desert tries to catch up to Adam.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
Kevin Lekmansky is giving it his all, chasing down Simon of the Desert in P3. Oh, this is getting intense. Adam is just a few car lengths behind Malero. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
It's a battle for position as Simon tries to make a move on Adam. This is what racing is all about.
The action is non-stop as Adam shadows Malero through every twist and turn, determined to claim first.
This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
The battle for P2 is heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to catch Adam in P2.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Simon needs to be careful not to overdo it.
Kevin Lekmansky is running fourth and trying to catch Simon of the Desert. Things are heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to close the gap to Sketty. It would seem Kevin Lekmansky is starting to get a bit frustrated here at being held up. Braking update. A brilliant maneuver from Kevin Lekmansky, who has just moved up the field.
Absolutely. Lekmansky is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy.
The gap between Sketty and Ryan will hold that thought. A setback for Sketty, who has just been passed.
That's got to be frustrating. But Sketty is a skilled driver, and he's got what it takes to battle back up the field.
This is what it's all about, folks. Malero is in hot pursuit of Adam, who's just trying to stay ahead. This is a thrilling battle as Ryan Wilson edges closer to Sketty in their fight for P4.
We'll have to wait to see if Wilson can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
David Zahn is on a mission, chasing Nick Skills, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The gap is 0.5 seconds now. Dave is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Nick's skills.
Every move counts now as Malero works to reel in Adam and overtake for P1.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Ryan Wilson could be looking for a way up the inside of Sketty.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble at the boundary of disaster.
While speeding through Rabbit's Ear, David Zahn is relentlessly pursuing Nick's skills in a high-stakes battle for position.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching.
Braking development. Great driving from David Zahn, who has just gained a place and moved up to 6th. Look at that. Nick's skills is hot on the tail of David Zahn.
The racing is getting tight between Nick's skills and Zahn as they battle for P6. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Sketty is chasing Ryan Wilson in P3.
The gap between them is now just over 0.5 seconds.
Nick's skills is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
With just 0.5 seconds between them, Nick's skills will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
It seems like Nick's skills is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of David Zahn. Malero has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Adam. I expect his only hope at this point is that Adam makes an error. Good news for Malero, the gap to Adam has decreased. It's now down to 1.0 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Marco. You really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
The delta is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Ryan Wilson needs to find a way to close the gap. Ryan Wilson could be on a charge here, Janet. He's just put in a quicker lap than Malero.
The question now is, can Malero respond to that and pick up the pace? I'm not so sure.
The crowd is on the edge of their seats as David Zahn in 6th chases after Kevin Lekmanski. David Zahn is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Kevin Lekmanski to 1.2 seconds. Hold on a moment. Looks like that's a mistake from Nick's skills. This could be costly.
Willow Springs is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
It's like Adam has saved all his energy for this final stretch. What a win! This is a historic moment for Adam, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision. What a fantastic race from Malero, who brings it home in 2nd place.
Intense race, but Malero held his nerve and earned a great 2nd place.
What a race from Ryan Wilson. He kept his cool and secured a well-earned 3rd place on the podium.
Great job bringing it home.
In 4th, 5th, and 6th, it's Sketty, Kevin Lekmanski, and David Zahn. Seventh sees Nick's skills. Bones end in 8th. Stefano Amadei take 9th.